entire 8.5, 7.5 minutes is going to be on what is it that we need to do in order to bring forth this nation, which typically, if you look back, 20, 25 years ago, and how we got into the IT services business was because of the talent pool in India, right? That same talent pool should be leveraged for innovation. So at my personal level, I feel, and it's a very individualistic, personalistic thought, that this body of human resources that we have should actually be leveraged for global innovation. Okay, easier said than done. In order to sort of look at how to build this ecosystem, let's look at a little bit more about what this disruption is all about. Okay? Yes, there are great statistics galore, 2.67 internet users, 4 billion YouTube downloads and views every day, astronomical. If you look at landlines, took 70 years to reach 1 million users, whereas WhatsApp did that in less than a year, and possibly internet.org could do that in probably less than a couple of months, right? So the pace at which people are getting connected, okay, is at the heart of this disruption. It's all about people connecting, and once you connect, you are able to reimagine, reinvent practically everything that you're doing. The way in which you buy, the way in which you sell, the way in which you communicate. How many of you communicate here with your grandparents using either FaceTime or WhatsApp? Can I have a show of hands? Okay. In a couple of years from now, I'm sure this room will be full of people. I mean, I communicated with my mother and my father before they passed away on FaceTime, okay? The surprising ease with which in literally a day's time, they figured out how to do that was just, and at an age of like 80 years old to do that is amazing, right? So I expect the world to adopt technology to fundamentally change everything. Disruption is nothing but changing your basic organizing principle, okay? An organizing principle is based on how do you relate, how do you engage, how do you lead, how do you reinvent, how do you reimagine? And at the heart of every disruption, there are a couple of things. It shrinks distance between people. It does one other thing, it heightens efficiency. And third thing that it does is it gives you a new experience. Every disruption, whether it is a Yellow Pages or whether it's an Uber or an Ola, will do these three things. Now, in this kind of an environment, what is the role for entrepreneurs? What is the role for startups? And here's where the crux lies. The new workforce, the millennial workforce, 70% of the millennial workforce wants to do something on its own. Can you imagine a company like us or any other IT services company that employs maybe anywhere between a couple of thousand people to a couple of 100,000 people? How are we going to motivate these employees? How are we going to fuel entrepreneurship within the organization? And better still, not every company is going to have the luxury to go and invest in a startup. Yes, you'll have the venture capitalists, you'll have the angels. The angels will invest, pretty much as a private equity will, so the number will grow from $20 billion to something much bigger. But yet, for every one company that gets funded, there'll be an alarming number of companies that will not get funded. Not because they're not good, because the world needs something more than just money. And this is something that I, as a CEO of a company, of a technology company, is understood. In order for us to sort of look around the bend, okay, as to what is going to come, we need to have a very healthy ecosystem of startups. So here's at least my thought, and this thought is sort of becoming more and more prevalent in the industry, in bodies like NASSCOM, for instance, okay? you will see that hackathons will just rise dramatically. But how do you use these hackathons productively? So at least in ITC Infotech, this is what I'm doing. In every hackathon, we will pick maybe 6 to 10 ideas. We won't invest in these ideas in money, okay? But we will help these startups actually round out their solution as fast as possible, and we'll market this. Of course, there's vested interest in it for us as well, because we will take a certain amount of royalty or a fee structure. But what this enables startups to do is actually get to the market as fast as possible and get as close to the customer as possible. And I have been an entrepreneur, I have been an entrepreneur, I run my own angel fund in the United States. So I've been through the entire thing, and I'm in a corporate position, right? But increasingly, the smart corporates will do what the Intels of the world have done for a very long time, okay? Historically, large corporations have either invested or they have bought startups, okay? But that paradigm will kill entrepreneurship over a period of time. Now, the key thing here is to acknowledge that for any large corporation to actually make money in this disruption, you can't do it all on your own. That realization has to dawn on people, and it is dawning. So my open request to people here would be that if you have an idea, okay? If you have an idea, you should study where corporations, so for instance, a corporation like ours is, at the parent company level, we do a lot of work on the agriculture side. We do a lot of work in actually disseminating information to the villagers. We through our eChopal program, which we did almost 15 years ago, we were able to touch the lives of close to about 4 farmers. Now we want to take that 4 million farmers to 40 million over a period of time. If you have ideas, come forth. And the way you should expect us to help you is 2 ways. Number one, to help round out your solution, which means how do we help your development much faster? How can we give you use cases if you have platforms? How can we give you use cases that you can use to sell and make money out of it? And the second, if we find your idea compelling enough and aligned to the markets that we serve, we will take you as part of our solution set, always making sure that the IP is yours. So 3 things are very essential in order for this ecosystem to work. First and foremost, clarity that IP belongs to whoever is the creator, okay? The second is to have a very clear thought in terms of how do you convert your idea into a marketable proposition. And the third is to actually be that sales channel to get you as close to the channel as possible. Now, this is what an ecosystem provides as opposed to what money provides. Of course, you need both. And if you can get smart money, which will do this, that's fantastic. But otherwise, you shouldn't be disheartened if you're not invested in, but you should seek for corporate players like us who will actually step forward and say, how do we promote this entrepreneurship?